good day, good night, all. CFR Network, CFR News. Welcome back. I have a good friend across the pond making his return. Chuck, welcome back to the broadcast. How art thou, sir?
It is definitely good to join you again, sir. Although difficulties connecting across the pond anymore, kind of funny. When we all used to complain about using Skype and everything, this stuff worked and it was free. It was interesting. Right? We could
Yes.
record, we could talk 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You could talk to anybody anytime. Wow, it was amazing. We could be in touch. Isn't it great, the technological age? And then as the market becomes more and more flooded with people that want to talk because it's podcaster o'clock somewhere, everybody out there claims to be a podcaster now, right? Here we go. The technology is now lagging, troublesome. Even your internet provider is screwing you. But hey, don't worry. If you pay some more money, they might fix it. Maybe. And how much can you pay? Oh, are all your bills going up? Sorry to hear that. Is that the new reality? No, that's not the new reality. It's the old one. How am I doing? I have no idea. How are you?
Wonder-filled, wonder-filled amongst the trauma, the terror, the confusion. It's a very interesting time to be on this plane of existence. But as you highlighted, the technological overlords have some wonderful plans, don't they? They certainly do. And as you've highlighted, I mean, we couldn't even connect fully video wise and all that on this particular call using a different means of connecting versus Skype. I mean, let's rewind time a little bit more. Let's rewind time a little bit more. 28K, 28K modems, 56K modems, 128, 256, 512s, T1s, DSL. Like
Sure.
technology has tremendously advanced, and as you say, we could connect via Skype. That was one of the totally free. There was no price plans. As long as you had your Skype ID, you could call someone across the other side, quote unquote, of the world and have a very detailed conversation with no interruptions. We're in the Gregorian year of 2024, and we've got now some technology called 5G. I hear there's even 6G out there in the commercial world. And
Mhm.
the ways of us communicating or the crispness and ease of communicating has gotten worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, well, isn't that the way of things? I mean, after all, Elon Musk needs more bandwidth for his next X project, whatever that may be. SpaceX or rebranding Twitter X or, oh wait, he had technological issues when he was trying to hook up with Trump recently. That was pretty funny. Did you catch that at the
Yes.
beginning? We have technical issues. You're telling me the two billionaires get together and they can't hook up electronically to have a discussion on a Twitter space, which again, everybody and their mother is doing. Every time I go to Twitter, they throw 10 of them at me. You ought to tune into this, you ought to tune into that. And everybody's doing discussions of all sorts, customized right away on the fly with people all over the world. And you know what? The owner of the platform can't get it together, but he
Yeah.
can launch another rocket. He's launching another rocket this week, I think, and going to do some sort of. It'll be the first commercial spacewalk or whatever, allegedly, right? SpaceX this week. So stay tuned. It's going to get weird, and it's going to get weird. Sure. The last time I talked to you, I think you talked to me about RFK Jr. even. And you
Yes.
want to talk about weirdness? Boy, that keeps getting weirder and weirder. And oh, by the way, is he going to endorse Trump today? Everybody's on the Trump watch now. Which, by the way, if you had ever listened to somebody like me, I would have told you he's on that side of the equation. Even though
Yes.
people are saying he's a Democrat, he's gonna no, he's on the Trump side, and that's what he's there for. And he was there to definitely leverage things with the Biden equation in place. But now we have Kamala,
Mm.
and with Kamala in there and the new joy and raising She claims she raised $540 million since launching her presidential campaign. What I'm wondering is, and here's the question nobody asks, right? We're all broke in the United States. I don't know anybody who's got money. And yet somehow these campaigns continue to raise a
Yeah.
$250 million every quarter. And she, in short time, raised $500 million off of the public, allegedly,
Mm.
right? Off of people that have no money. I mean, Joy costs a lot of money, I guess, and that dance party they had over at the DNC, that cost a lot of money because, by the way, if you didn't catch that, I mean, it was WrestleMania over at the Trump thing,
Yeah.
but then you go to the DNC and it's Dance Party USA. Literally, people, if you didn't tune into it, and I assume most people didn't, but I had to check it out just so I could report on it. DJs, swing your hands in the air,
Yeah.
swing them, don't care, with breaks in the middle, and here we go. And now we're going to send people up there to yell at you for a little while, and now dance. That was going on for hours at the DNC, the Democratic National Committee in Chicago,
Yeah.
of all places. But anyway,
Hey,
I mean,
Chuck, let me add one more into that because wasn't it a couple blocks away that Planned Parenthood had a mobile vasectomy and abortion clinic ready to go?
supposedly, I don't know. There was a lot of reports about things that were in the area, things that were going on. If you listen to the Fox Newses over here, they were stating that there was going to be a gigantic civil unrest and all kinds of crazy things. And really, all it was the dance party being protected at the event, right? I mean, that's all it was. And here we go, another televised clown show.
Yes,
Um, and remember, I'm the guy who's not on either side of this equation because I figured out we're dealing with a uniparty over here,
exactly.
and it's all a big game. Matter of fact, the fact that Trump had, the Hulkster there to tell you that Trumpomania is running wild, ripping off his shirt, everything, made the most sense because we are dealing with the WrestleMania era of politics in America,
Yes,
uh,
yes.
where, look, the big corporations in reality, big tech, I know big tech is only supposed to support the Democrats, but it doesn't. It supports all sides of the equation. Big tech is supporting everybody. Peter Thiel's on everybody's side. The guy who makes money off of PayPal still, the guy who did all that. Peter Thiel, Singularity, check him out. Oh, yeah, he did Joe Rogan's podcast recently, too. Number one podcaster in the world. Don't forget that.
Mm,
Um, Peter Thiel was on there. Uh, but anyway, this is the reality of the politics now, is that it works just like the WWE. Here's your good guy, here's your bad guy. You might root for one wrestling alliance versus another, but really the truth is at the end of the day, they're all paid by the same corporate sponsors, they're all paid by the same corporate interests, and you're meant to root for one side of the equation or the other, but it all goes into one big trough. And at the end of the day, it's all about the control system remaining in place. So,
yes.
here we go. And I know people want to sell me on Trump, and people want to sell me on the dangers of Trump, and people want to sell me on RFK,
Yeah.
which, wait, did you catch that story about the bear cub? What was it, about a week and a half ago with
No.
RFK here? Oh man. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Was
So
this about him running it over and stuff like that? Killing the bear up the
yeah,
Okay, yes, yes. Go on. Continue, sir.
what's crazier about, okay, so let me lay this out in case somebody didn't hear this. So RFK Jr. online is in a video telling Roseanne Barr about his connection to a strange news story, because every once in a while in New York, because I lived in New York, I lived in New Jersey, but every once in a while in New York, there is like the strange news story that nobody can explain. How the hell did this happen? How did an alligator end up in the subway?
Mm,
Weird stuff happens with animals sometimes, with people, stuff, just bizarre things happen in New York, and people go, we have no idea how to explain this. One of these instances was in one of the parks in New York, which is not a wild area with wild animals in it, unless you count the rats and a few others. Maybe some squirrels and some birds that migrate there. There's not wild animals in there. Anyway, a bear cub is discovered dead in a park, and a bicycle is nearby. It appears as though someone tried to stage the scene so that a bicycle ran over a bear cub. which makes no sense, and killed a bear cub, which shouldn't be in this park, which is just this little kind of like, trees and shrubs area
Yeah.
inside of New York. Um, and there it is, and nobody could explain this, and it passed by as a news story. Weird thing about 10 years ago, right? And nobody talked about it. It just was like, here's one of those bizarre incidents only in New York, and we can't explain it
Yeah.
away. So RFK is explaining recently to Roseanne Barr, he actually knows all about that because he's the one who deposited the bear cub in the park. How did this happen? He was out with some friends, and one of the people in front of him in a car hit and killed this bear cub and left.
Yeah.
He was picking up the bear cub off the road, and he was going to take it with him and bring it home and eat it, because you can eat roadkill in New York if it's something that got hit and died on the road. You're allowed to do this by law. Um, and he was thinking, well, let's not let the meat go to waste. But he threw it in his car, and he had other things to do. So he went and did a couple other things, went falconing and some other that day with this dead bear cub in his van.
Yeah.
And he had it with him all day. And then he's getting ready to leave to go to an airport. And he realizes, I still got this dead bear cub in here. It's been in here all day, which, by the way, bad idea to keep a dead bear cub in your truck all day.
Yeah.
If you killed an animal and you're going to go eat it, you should immediately take it and prep it,
Exactly.
and get it ready if you're going to eat an animal. And people might have their different views. I mean, I know you had Maria on recently, and she's a vegan and would never want to eat an animal.
Indeed.
But I'm still not a. And by the way, you're not a carnivore if you eat an animal. You're a carry-on eater because you're eating dead things.
Dead
Uh,
things. Yes,
yeah.
indeed, sir.
So here's the thing. I admit I do eat dead things from time to time. Not bears, but anyway, I don't object necessarily.
Hmm.
Don't let something go to waste. Anyways, he realizes he's got this thing. What am I going to do with it? He decides to dump it in the park and thinks it'll be funny if he stages it with a bicycle.
Yeah.
Now, this is a bizarre story to tell anybody for any reason 10 years later, but to drop it on Roseanne Barr
Of all
and then,
people.
here's one of those miracle things I'm going to explain to you that was one of those bizarre news stories in New York. I happen to be part of it. Okay. All of that coming out, and then the following week, he's endorsing Trump.
Yeah.
I say to myself, this actually makes a lot of sense. But it's just a bizarre throwaway news story. Now, does this have anything to do with what the man might have done had he gotten in as a legitimate candidate, or was he coming in as just a spoiler to
Mm.
mess selection? What was he doing there? We're never going to know because he's going to suspend and he's going to back Trump. And now he's even made statements that he had a meeting with Trump and that Trump is going to get on board with many of the agenda bits that he had in his mind, which, by the way, was rumored to have been happening in 2016. That's what I was told in 2016, is that you need to get on the Trump train then, I was being told, because RFK Jr., who is a guy you like, is going to work with Trump. He was going to
Wow.
be the new vaccine. This is what people told me. I'm on the inside of this, Chuck.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, RFK Jr. is going to work with Trump. You got to be with him on this. And I was like, yeah, I know the real estate hustler from Queens. I lived in
Mm.
Jersey and I watched
Mm.
him bankrupt 3 casinos in Atlantic City. I know who this guy is. Forget it. But anyway, these people told me you got to get on board because he's going to have RFK Jr. as part of his cabinet. None of that ever materialized. The same people, by the way, told me that you got to be on Trump's side because he's going to reveal all the JFK documents. I know
Yes.
about that, Chuck. That is one of your big issues in your life. You're a JFK researcher.
Yeah.
And of course, 2017, what did Trump do? But, bend the knee to the intelligence agencies, as did the Biden administration, which now the Biden administration being sued by the Mary Farrell Foundation currently for, again, not adhering to the law, the JFK Records Collection Act, which the Trump administration did not do in 2017 as well. All they had to do was nothing to allow stuff that was set in motion 25 years earlier to be
Yes.
released. But
Yes.
anyway, pay no attention to that because that's just politics. Um, and the system protecting itself as per usual.
Oh yeah.
But no big deal. Anyhow, I find it remarkable that people are surprised that RFK Jr. is going to now back Trump. It seems to me as though he was there to support Trump in the equation anyway, and he was there as a backup to be able to divert. Because strangely, There are a lot of people that felt as though RFK Jr., because of his family background
Yes,
and
indeed.
was going to be another choice for DNC people.
Mm,
If you didn't want to go with Biden, maybe you would have went with RFK Jr. And I got to tell you, I know zero people that if their first choice was Biden or now Harris, their second choice would have been him. I know zero people like that, but the media keeps telling us that's the case, right? Strange. And also, isn't this guy supposed to be, according to the mainstream media, the grand conspiracy theorist? He's about to
yes.
retire. He's this, he's that, he's the third thing, which, by the way, a lot of that stuff not exactly true if you dig into it. He is much stranger than the fiction they make up about him,
Mm,
and he is much more interesting than and actually on the good side of things than most people will allow as well, which is weird, but he is a bizarre individual. He and this bear story is just yet again another strange thing, along with the worm in his brain, and God knows what else. People have talked about, where they say, oh, they were sabotaging him with all this stuff. He did this to himself, by the way. This isn't somebody else outing him. You know, he he put it out online and then said, oh, I wonder how how the New Yorker's going to spin this. They don't need to spin it. Are you kidding me? This is a bizarre story, and you're going to upset animal lovers. You're going to upset people who
yeah.
are just looking at this going, and me, I'm not one of these people who's ultimate animal rights people or anything like that. I'm just looking at this going, what kind of thought process leads you to, first of all, carry a dead bear around in your truck all day? And then,
Ah,
second, when you do decide to get rid of it, you're going to dump it in a park because you think it's, I don't know, clever to stage it with a bicycle, leave it for 10 years, and
mm.
then tell Roseanne about, like, what in the hell goes on in his mind? I don't know.
It's
Okay.
odd. It's odd to say the least. What I was gonna say previously was, which relates to everything that you've said. There is a master script in place, and if people are still under the illusion that we've got, it's not the WWE or the WWF. This is not pre-scripted, and there is actually a viable opportunity to vote your way out of destruction. I don't know. You really need to be woken up very swiftly.
Mm.
There's two gluteus maximus muscles that we have on our posterior. There's two wings to a bird.
Yep.
Like these are sayings that are so poignant and true. It's a show. It's a dog and pony show.
And you know what? Heads or tails, yeah, you can flip and decide if you won or lost, but the coin doesn't change, man.
Mm,
Again, like you said, the Thanksgiving turkey we have in America, there's always a left and a right wing. And you can crack that wishbone all you like, but vote harder, maybe it'll fix it. No, look, here's the reality too. And meanwhile, I think still that it is preordained that Trump is going to be reinserted here. Now, I don't know all the purposes for it. I can't see in my mind a way that anybody's going to legitimately state that Kamala is going to be able to hold this enthusiasm. There's a bit of enthusiasm because thank God we're not dealing with the Walking Dead, candidate that they had before where they were going to do a rematch with Biden, who was, clearly out of it. Which, by the way, isn't that fascinating? The people that were close to him and knew and were handling him and everything else had to have known there was no way he was going to get through a debate without showing, his condition.
Chuck,
Okay.
Chuck,
Yeah.
do you recall back in the 80s, early 90s, where there was a plethora on mainstream media talking about and showing the body doubles of presidents, prime ministers, and famous actors and pop stars? Do you remember that?
Yeah. Mhm.
Do you not do you I mean, I'm sure they've still got these body doubles in place and stuff. So logically, you would think, as it has historically gone, let's bring out Joe Biden 2.0, the one who's compos mentis and who is has been taken out of the care home. to be shown as the president. Let's use the guy who can actually, put more than two or three sentences together and recall the stuff, and let's show that Biden has still got it. It's very much counterintuitive for them doing that. So the question is why?
That is the big question, right? Why did they allow him to publicly implode on that? I mean, the massive, how many people were watching that debate? I think 100, something like 100 million people
Yeah.
viewed it within the first 24 hours easily. In front of 100 million people, they allowed this guy to melt down. So that was not unintentional. I don't think that was an accident. Somebody did that on purpose. As for why, I'm still confused because,
Mm,
see, as much as they've said, well, Kamala was involved in stuff and she was the czar on the border and all this over the year, realistically, she's been very quietly in the background for the most part.
mhm.
Not really up front as an active vice president. She doesn't seem to have been involved in the policies all that much, as far as the public face goes, right? It's always been, nope, this is Biden's term. He's not going to give it up. I mean, people even thought that right after the 2020 selection, that Biden might turn around and say, you know what? I'm going to resign, hand it over to Kamala. That was one of the theories out there.
Mm,
And when he didn't do it, there was a lot of people surprised saying, look, how is he going to carry this on? I mean, obviously he's too tired. He can't do this,
mm.
so on and so forth. And I said, look, I told you, this guy's not giving it up now. And I don't think he gave it up recently without a serious struggle here. And obviously there was a lot of hand wringing in public,
Yeah.
but it's weird to me that somebody honestly had to have consciously decided to let him implode on live television
Mm.
in front of Trump. Trump, I mean, it was shooting fish in a barrel, they say, right?
Yes.
Trump could have said anything during that debate, and as long as it seemed semi-coherent, he won.
Mm.
I mean, that was an easy. It was like watching Mike Tyson fight that kid Peter McNeely years ago,
Oh
right?
my gosh, yes, indeed. Excellent analogy. Yes.
It was like there's no way that this kid is going to do anything. They've just put him in there because they need an opponent.
Hmm.
And this is going to be an absolute joke, and that's what it was. It's not like the days of when Tyson was at his best. Trump wasn't at his best at that thing. So if Trump is the Mike Tyson in this scenario, Biden was not going to be the surprise Buster Douglas candidate here. That
Definitely
wasn't
not.
going to happen. He didn't even have any gas left in the tank. They knew it. They had to have known it, and they put him out there anyway. So, and on CNN of all places where everybody tells me, they stage everything on there. Well, if they stage this, then they purposely
Yeah.
let him, torpedo himself on live TV. Again, to put Kamala in place, she wasn't even a star.
No.
I mean, she couldn't win a primary. People couldn't get behind her on a national level. Even when she tried to play the race card against Biden, in case people forgot about that,
Yeah, exactly.
even that didn't work. Oh, when you were against busing Mr. Biden, I was one of those little black girls on the bus. Which, by
Hmm.
the way, Trump, you need to look back at that. She did say she was black back then, despite the fact that now she's not. Now she's black. No, not now she's black. She told Biden she was black back in 2020. Remember, because it was during the debate when she tried to torpedo him with the race card. Didn't work. She couldn't get a groove going to save her life. She was out of there, I think, before the first caucus. Her campaign was done in 2020, right? So on her own, nothing. But as a replacement, because this guy was such a big train wreck, anything would have been good there. They could have put anybody in, and they put her in. Weird thing going on. And I'm thinking this enthusiasm that she came in with, yes,
Yeah.
some people do have legitimate enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Americans' short attention span, it's going to die in the next couple of months. And I'm figuring Trump will march to victory during
Do
this
you,
time. It'll be logical. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I agree with the logical standpoint, based upon, quote unquote fairness, but and what we can see, the veneer, the actual debates, the interviews, etc., it does seem that Trump should have this one, quote unquote, in the bag. But these crazy space monkeys have got all kind of plans in place, i.e., what happens when for Biden to become the president. You know, there's lots of talk about, postal votes and rigging and all kinds of stuff. So I'm thinking again, from a historical standpoint, America's proactive and progressive and they're embracing all of this kind of stuff. Why
Hmm.
not have the first woman president who is of dual heritage, a Asian, Indian, and black female presidents? Like that would be again, veneer, that would be a beacon of light across the world. Look what we've done here. After all this time, 400 years ago, a black person wasn't even allowed in this kind of standing. We owned these kind of people. And now look, we have a female president. That's empowering the black side and the females as well, and the Asian side as well.
Well, finally, we catch up to Pakistan, who's already had a female president, by the way, right?
Yes,
Uh,
indeed.
so, I mean, I'm just saying, it would be finally we're progressive enough to be even with Pakistan. There you go.
Mm,
And I'll leave you to chew on that all you want. But we're in a very strange time, okay, where look, whose side are you on? That's all anybody really wants to know
yeah,
at this point in time. And nobody is on their own side, it seems like. Nobody's looking out for their own interests. Because quite honestly, the fact that, like I said, $540 million being raised since she took the reins and decided, and it was decided that she would be the heir apparent and inherit the
yeah.
votes that he had already garnered from the Democrats,
Mm.
because they already held some votes here to decide who their candidate would be. And he's just handing it over to her. $540 million has been raised. And again, in a time in the US where I know there is no one I know that is not struggling to pay for their groceries, that
Yeah,
is not struggling to keep the roof over their head,
yeah,
that is not struggling financially. Where is this $500 million voluntarily coming into a presidential campaign run
yeah.
in short order? I mean, I can't borrow $20 from anybody. I'm broke. I can't get that. And meanwhile, she's accrued $500 million. Where is this money?
And you'd think the American public would be asking that very question. Look, we've got a homeless problem out here. We've got the general members of public who are struggling, who are financially strained, and not just the American public. This goes across all of the quote unquote first world countries. It's happening the same over in the UK. People are struggling with utilities, with groceries, with this governmental system playing all of these games, putting all of these movies in front of us, bombarding us constantly with this negative, low vibration, murder, death, kill constantly. I mean, there's been so much death and destruction at such a rapid pace that you can't keep up. You cannot keep up. There's no dogs being saved out of the trees anymore, Chuck.
Well,
There's
no, because we can't hardly save ourselves. Look, how many people do you know that are under the age of 50? Now, I'm over the age of 50 now. I'm feeling really, really old. But how many people do you know under the age of 50 that are even healthy? You know what I mean? A
exactly.
whole lot of people are unhealthy because we're in an unhealthy environment. The constant struggle, the constant stress, the fact that everything is escalating much faster than our ability to keep up with it,
Mm,
as far as our earning power goes, as far as opportunity goes.
yeah,
Opportunity is being outpaced by the expense of survival. And that is happening everywhere. Like you said, the first world countries, homelessness is exploding. That is happening everywhere. We're concerned about people coming over the border.
yeah,
Well, where are they going to go? We don't have places for the people that are here as it is,
exactly.
you know. And I'll tell you, I recently went through a crazy thing.